Hello guys, it's me, Greed here. Today I saw something from Overwatch Cavalry where apparently 6v6 is getting its first balance patch. That's excellent news. So, a couple of things. Firstly, I want to go over kind of the history. Then I want to go over what might be in the patch and what I'm hoping for. So, I don't even know, a long time ago, years ago, think about that, years ago, Lil Greed made his video, 5v5 sucks, or whatever it was called, and I talked about how terrible 5v5 was, and how bad 6v6 was, and I guarantee you can go back in the comments, and most of them are saying, this is a pointless argument, it's not coming back, they're not going to release 6v6, they're not going to do any of that, you're dumb, you're wasting your time, and here we are, years later, having said fuck you to all of those guys, and it turns out we were right in continuing to endlessly complain. The fact that it came back is pure vindication that you can get whatever you want as long as you're persistent enough in a not weird way, because don't interpret that in a weird way. Anyway, so now that 6v6 is coming back, well, it is, but it's been back, but it's getting a balance patch now, which it hasn't had before. There are a couple of things that I would love for them to address in this 6v6 patch, because I love 6v6. Firstly, I would address the longer cooldowns. So a way they initially balanced 6v6 to make it different was that they basically just said all the tank cooldowns are increased, and then some of the support cooldowns too, I believe, and as nade and so on are still higher. I don't agree with that. So I would address the cooldowns themselves. If they were in that category that said these are too powerful to be this short of a cooldown, maybe in 6v6 they are, I don't know, then just address their power level, right? Make it so anti doesn't make you anti for as long. Maybe cut a second off of it. Maybe reduce the healing amplification from like 50% to 40% or something. You know, if that's what we were going to do and those cooldowns really did need addressing, I would understand fixing those in that way instead of just saying make the cooldowns longer, because for me personally, I prefer a shorter cooldown with less impact. That means they're getting used more. There's less of that holding it for the perfect time kind of thing, which makes the game very pokey, very ult dumpy, because what happens a lot of time is both teams are waiting for their perfect opportunity to use their cooldowns because their cooldown is so long that they're all playing very passively, waiting for a mistake to happen, so they're all poking, and that incentivizes poke play, which I honestly think is very boring. And that's just like a natural cycle of what's going to happen. The longer the cooldowns are, the more impactful they are, the less likely they're going to happen, therefore the less risk and less aggressive people are going to play, because they're less likely to have the resources, and the resources are stretched more thin, therefore obviously you're going to be playing a safer playstyle. So addressing the cooldowns would be fantastic. Next thing, for me personally, is going to have to be changing Zarya. The way Zarya functions in 5v5 and 6v6 need to be dramatically different, because they're completely different heroes. For example, in 5v5, Zarya has more health, she can bubble herself twice, and that's basically it, right? In 6v6, she's still got the same damage output, she's still got the same ammo, she's still got the same everything, except her health is lower, and she can only bubble herself once, and her energy decay, the way she loses charge, is also the same speed at which it is in 5v5, which is bad, because in 5v5 you get greater consistency at building charge because you can bubble yourself twice, whereas in 6v6 you can't bubble yourself twice, meaning it's hard to get charge, but you still lose that charge just as quickly as you would in 5v5. So a change I would say is reverting it to the old charge decay rate for 6v6 and keeping everything else the same. I actually like the lower health and stuff, obviously, on the tanks. I would obviously always argue for that. But yeah, Zarya loses charge a bit too quickly, in my opinion, and it really railroads her into picking the right-click perk that gives her energy for right-clicking people. Now, I like that perk. Obviously, I don't like perks, but if I'm going to play the game, I'm going to have to interact with them. That's the perk I always pick, especially because I play 6v6. And that's just the one that keeps your energy the highest most consistently, because otherwise it's a little bit too hard with the fact that you can only bubble yourself once, which I think is obviously a good thing. Other things to address is obviously the tank sustain. There's a lot of tank sustain in 6v6. I know I just said that I like the lower health pulse on Zarya, and I think Zarya is terrible in 6v6. I think Monkey is terrible in 6v6. Generally speaking, the heroes that are very bad in 6v6 tend to be the heroes that are more aggression based, more dive, more go in, although that doesn't apply to Hazard, because Hazard also has this thing called block, where he's able to basically infinitely sustain himself forever. Same thing as Orisa, same thing as Sigma, and so on. These characters are very good at standing still and shooting people, are far too strong in 6v6 because the poke is already stronger. Obviously, there are more people poking, therefore the poke is going to be stronger, and because of that, the tanks that are poking more and sustaining more. It's the same reason double shield was the thing in Overwatch 1, was because the tank sustain was way too high. Therefore, I think you should address it. Obviously, one would be shield perk for Orisa's gotta go. It's gotta go. It's way too strong. There's a reason you got rid of the shield in the first game. The game is playable with an Orisa shield. I think it's fine with an Orisa shield, but the problem is you would have you gold as well. Honestly, in my opinion, if you were gonna say keep the shield perk, it should replace the Fortify. Sorry, I'm yawning. It should replace the Fortify, not the Javelin spin, because the Fortify and the shield together is way too much sustain. It ruins the game, in my opinion. It's the same reason double shields existed so long in Overwatch 1, was obviously the Sigmas suck and Orisa's gold, which I think you need to get rid of, because these characters are very strong in 6v6. Same as like Ram, same as Hazard, same as D.Va, and so on. Another thing I would address is actually D.Va. I think D.Va, even in 5v5, is a cancer on this game. I hate it. D.Va's way too good at locking down angles and just blowing people up. Her damage output's way too high. It wasn't changed in 6v6 either, meaning that if you ever occupy an angle as a DPS, then, well, good luck, because if the D.Va wants to kill you, they just kind of simply will, and there's really not much you can do about it. But that's D.Va for you. So another thing is, a lot of people want roll queue. Now, I don't. I prefer open queue. Which, you know, is controversial perhaps. I know most people prefer roll queue. So, I think for the good of the game, maybe going to roll queue. I like Samito's idea of a hybrid system where you queue up as a role, but that doesn't mean you get to play that role, if you understand what I'm saying. Basically, you could say, I prefer to play DPS, and it'll throw you in a game where a DPS is needed, but if you want to, you can play the other roles. Now, obviously, it would be up to the other people within those roles. For example, if you queued as DPS, you can get in a game and have the guy that queued as tank insta-snipe your DPS, right? It would give you time. So in like the starting phase, it would be the guy that preferred tank would be locked to tank for that starting phase, where you can only pick tank heroes, everyone can play their role, but later on in the game, people can swap around to other roles. So, as long as that starting phase doesn't allow people to steal other people's roles, but you allow it so people can flex around in that, so you can still build triple DPS comps if you want, you can still build quad support comps if you want, you can still build triple tank comps if you want. I think that would be the best way to do it, because that means everyone gets in, everyone gets a chance to get the role they said they wanted to play, and then later on, maybe you go, actually, you know what, maybe my support player wants to play some DPS, I wouldn't mind playing some support, you can swap around with them. Oh, maybe I want to help my tank out a little bit, maybe we'll go another tank, right? Something like that. And obviously, that would require a very obviously good game balance, and not just necessarily good game balance though, it's also good hero design. Like, you wouldn't be able to allow a reset in a mode like that, because you would just simply stack a reset every game, because she's just basically infinite HP, so she's just free resources. But it would be an interesting thing to think about, doing that kind of hybrid system like that. It would obviously take a lot of thought. I wouldn't expect them to be able to release that in a season. I feel like that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of balance, a lot of design in order to implement properly, let alone dealing with how the players are actually going to deal with it. I do not envy the devs for a task like that. So I would say, if they did want a simpler system, they could just simply go with roll queue. I obviously would prefer open queue. The queues are faster, the games they just feel better in open queue. I like the comp variety, I like being able to swap around mid-game. Obviously, I don't swap around mid-game very often, but there are some times where I'm playing DPS, and then my Ana player goes, hey guys, sorry, I'm not having a good game. Do you mind if I go my comfort pick, which is like May or something? And I'll be like, yeah, dude, that's fine. I'll jump on Ana, and you know what I mean? And we'll, you know, we can win the game then. You know, it feels good in order for to work as a team. I feel like there's more teamwork in open queue, but then again, there's also a lot of opportunities for there to be substantially less teamwork in open queue when everyone goes, I'm playing DPS this game, and that doesn't really happen in the higher ranks. Thankfully, I am privileged to be in the higher ranks of 6v6 where people don't do that. People are usually very chill and very like, sure, I'll play a different role, that's fine. But yeah, I can understand like in gold where like someone just goes, I want to play Tracer, and then, well, that's kind of just, that's gospel now, he's Tracer. So it is what it is, but you know, that's the game, you know what I'm saying? I like open queue, but I would understand adding low queue. I'm not sure I can really think of any other things. I do say I am very mean to the I wouldn't say I'm very mean, I'm very harsh. I'm certainly very harsh on the devs. I do not give them an easy time, especially when it comes to balance or design. And I think that is good and bad. I'm overly harsh in some scenarios. I'm not harsh enough in others. It is what it is. Either way, the devs obviously are human. The balance team are human, as much as some people say they aren't, which I have said they aren't. Anyway, it is what it is, right? I don't expect the balance patch to be perfect. I don't expect it to fix everything. I don't even really expect it to be good. But I would like just to see effort. You know what I mean? I just at least want to see effort. I don't mind if it's bad. I just want to see them go, here, we know this is a problem, this is our fix. And even if it's not a good fix, I'd still say, you know what? They tried. They at least knew there was a problem and they tried. So that's all I can hope for. I'm excited for the patch. I'm excited to see what it's going to be. You know, I've been loving playing 6v6. Now, obviously, people will have noticed I haven't been uploading a lot recently at all. I've uploaded like 2 videos in 2 weeks. I'm just not playing Overwatch. I'm just not playing the game. I just don't enjoy it right now at all. I'm really struggling to get even background footage for the game. I just really am not enjoying it. I'm doing all sorts of trying to have fun. I'm going in the Overwatch Discord. I'm playing 5v5. I'm trolling people in voice chat and just having a good time. The actual gameplay of the game to me right now is not that interesting. But, you know, could be burnout, could be a lot of things. I am going to go on the side of it isn't burnout because, well, I guess it could be. There's no way to prove it isn't, I suppose. But yeah, if I was playing Overwatch 1, I guarantee I wouldn't be burnout like this. But they are different games, obviously. And it is what it is. Anyway, I love Overwatch 1. That's my favorite game of all time. Goodbye. I love you. Goodbye. Have a good day. Goodbye. Have a good day. Goodbye.